What's up, everyone? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
And I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you. So, of course, we are still in kind of quarantine, lockdown, whatever it is. So, we've decided to pretty much just go through and review a whole bunch of albums while we can. Since we can't get to record stores, since they're obviously non-essential, we have to rely on streams. Luckily, there have been some cool streams that came out early, and we found one that seemed to be pretty interesting. We get to review the debut album from Warp Chamber with their album Implements of Excruciation. This comes out on the 27th on Profound Lore Records. This is the band's debut album. Formed in 2016 from Olympia, Washington. They're definitely part of the rather huge Pacific Coast death metal scene that's just been exploding here over the past couple of years. And honestly, I really couldn't find much on this band, which was kind of frustrating.
Yep, I looked. We both looked. I looked for quite some time. It took me probably 10 minutes to figure out they were from
Olympia, Washington.
Washington, yeah. I mean, there was literally nothing. There's some decent reviews of the album online, but it doesn't mention band members.
And I was kind of looking just because the whole scene there is kind of incestuous in a way that a lot of the bands kind of circulate from band to band. Like, you know, there's members shared all throughout. And the only thing I found was they have one other demo, and according to Encyclopedia Metalum, there are no members. Which, that's obviously not true, but, you know, maybe we'll find out more as this band keeps going along their career.
Hell, maybe they comment on this video and tell us, because we have no idea.
So the album opens up with Abdication of the Mind, and right away you are greeted to a really cool tom roll, nasty opening riff, and then a guy repeatedly puking into a microphone. The vocals are going to be kind of a focal point on this because they're just puked. They are puked vocals.
Yeah, dude, I mean, really.
It sounds like someone repeatedly retching, like he's got like a piece of popcorn stuck in the back of his throat, and it's triggering his gag reflex. It's really out in front, too, and you could really hear it all the time. So it was kind of a total, like, focus on other stuff because these vocals were just strange, honestly. Like, I don't get them. I know that it has a cool cavernous, like, you know, reverb effect on it, which that's pretty cool in death metal. I don't know if he's actually saying words, because everything in his vocabulary seems to start with and it kind of drove me nuts. Now, musically, this is just raw, nasty death metal.
Gritty. It's got the kind of the Swedish buzzsaw tone to the guitars.
Lots of crunch to it.
And that doesn't change throughout the album.
No. And I like the production on this album, too. Like, it's very raw, but everything's well separated. The drums sound very full in here, and I really like the drum work on it. There's some really clever drum work all throughout this album. And, I mean, if you're definitely a fan of, like, Morbid Angel or something more recent like Tomb Mold or Witch Vomit, it's definitely in that vein. Now, this album only has 4 tracks, and they are all relatively long. The first track right here is 7 minutes long, roughly. And it's completely loaded with just riff after riff. And one of my issues with this is, as much as I love death metal, I love pretty much all things death metal. And this has everything I love about death metal, but in terms of how it fits together, like, the song is kind of all over the place. But it does have some really killer hooks and, like, some really interesting atmospheric moments towards the end, which that is kind of a rarity on this album.
There's not a lot of variance between the songs, like, as far as song structure is concerned. And again, the riffs are really cool, but there was no real differentiation until we got to the end of the record, and we'll get there.
Yeah, and, like, one of the issues that came up going into the next track, Shadows of Long Forgotten Terror, which thumbs up on all the song titles on this album.
Yeah, really,
they're fucking
awesome.
Love them. There's really not much of a break. Like, you get a little bit of silence, and then boom, you're into a kind of similar intro from the first track. And that's sort of a repeated theme on here, is maybe these little moments of, like, ambience or movie quotes.
Yeah, like, each song, like, there was no, you know, and you know how we preach against intros, but there was nothing really, just like every song was just a straight punch in the balls. Like, it just blah!
And as much as it seems like we like getting punched in the balls, not really.
Yeah, no.
But I would have liked just, like, a few seconds. Something to really differentiate the songs just a little bit more, at least in the beginning. And then, you know, you can go into the cacophony of just awesome riffs and just nasty breakdowns. Because Shadows of Long Forgotten Terror is actually a little bit groovier than the intro track, and it's really has some solid breakdown moments on here. Really remind me of a more current band like Genocide Pact. They get nasty and chuggy, but there's also like nice layers of dissonance on there. And
there's like Cannibal Corpse moment in this song too.
Yeah.
Which is neat. And there is a really abrupt transition in this song. It's abrupt, but it's cool, and it changes into like a different time signature. The drums slow down. The drums kind of half time it while it runs this Cannibal Corpse riff. So that was kind of neat.
We love corpse riffs. Now, the longest song on here, the third track, Harvesting the Life Force of a Crumbling Orb. Again, song titles are fucking awesome here.
Please keep those coming.
They have kind of a dark sci-fi theme, like I would say probably some Lovecraft in here, just because Lovecraft is awesome and lends himself very well to metal. This one was where I think this had just too much in it. It's over 9 minutes long, and it really just seems like a lot of repeated ideas in here, and there aren't a lot of breaks to really differentiate like movements in the song, because once you approach like, you know, that 8-minute threshold, you're kind of thinking you want to write in movements to really like kind of differentiate parts, like just like have like verses and chorus in there, but maybe like multiple bridges and such, and they were really kind of hard to distinguish.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of that going on. It just seemed like it went from kind of idea to idea, but fast. It's like they bullet trained through each idea. And again, the riffs are cool. Like, the guitarists need a fucking raise.
Drummer is definitely on point with this cardio.
And the bass tone, actually, I really like the bass tone.
Yeah, the bass tone when it broke out, because there is really one section on here that I absolutely loved, was that big sludgy breakdown.
Yes.
It's pretty much accented by giant tom hits, and it goes from like a flat out immolation riff with nice little squealy pinch harmonics in there, and then boom into like suffocation.
That's what I said
like,
too.
Chuggery.
And the immolation riff wise, it reminded me of immolation, but with less fill work on the drums.
Yeah. Like, it was a pretty straightforward breakdown, and I mean, granted, he'd been busy at this point for like 6 minutes of like pretty much blasting and double bass. Probably needed a little bit of a break just to catch his breath. Now, in this song, there are lots of cool riff structure, and this is surprisingly technical for more of an old school sound. But again, it's how they put it together. There's just some knee-jerk transitions that don't make a lot of sense on here. And there's moments where you kind of want this one riff to really build up and build into something huge.
And it doesn't.
And it doesn't. It shifts right away.
It goes into a little variant of the breakdown riff, but it speeds up too quickly.
Yeah.
It's like they took this nasty stomp, you know, molassesy, doomy breakdown, and then just immediately just was like, nah, and then shoved it back up into...
Honestly, I was waiting for it to slow down more.
Yeah, I was
like,
too.
To get, like, even more down-tempo.
Because that's the feeling that the riff took. Like, when it got to the end part of that breakdown where you think it would get slower, the riff also took that direction, and you were like, oh, cool. And it kind of went down and then up.
Like, I thought we were going to approach, like, some Death Doom territory, and that's something I was kind of hoping for, because this album really slows down, and this moment could have been even more, like, punctuated by just slowing it down another step after that.
Yeah.
Adding some, like, atmospheric guitar over it, and that would have been a really dynamic moment that stood out.
Because when you listen to these songs, you'd think they're going to take a Doom moment, because the overall song has that feel to it. It's just kind of got, like, a downtrodden feel to it.
Sludgy and gritty.
And so when these cool riffs come where they do have these little breakdown moments, you think that they really could take it and slow it down and just make it a banger, and it doesn't do that.
Caffeine. Probably a lot of caffeine. So the album closes with Exultant in Chthonic Blasphemy. Again, awesome song title. That's fucking great.
I love it.
This one is notably different. And this was kind of a refresher for me, because it actually kind of brought some life to the album, because they brought in thrashy elements.
Yes.
The opening section here is very reminiscent of like thrashy death metal bands, or death thrash, or even just straight up thrash, like Possessed, Vader, maybe Slayer in there too.
It's got like a really just heavy double kick, groove over this just killer riff structure that is thrashy.
And the riffs are memorable in this one. There's actually like spots of like melody. It isn't all about like dissonance and just flat out death metal chugs.
The way I put it is that you could probably pick this song out of a lineup.
Yeah, this was really the biggest standout on here. This is a short album too. This clocks just 30 minutes really.
Yeah.
It's only 4 tracks and they're really long. If this was broken up maybe a little bit different, I think this could have stood out more. But this track right here was my big takeaway.
Mine too.
It stuck with riffs for longer measures. It really, built on them too. It didn't just kind of continuously play that same riff and it's like, oh no, we're gonna add a little melody to it.
Yeah.
Change around the tempo a bit.
And the lead on this song, just Trey Azergoth all the way,
Yep.
but a little bit more melody to it.
Like it was
all over the map like he is, but at times there was an actual melody to it.
And they layered it towards the end too.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Yeah, overall, this is a band's first album, and honestly I feel like this is still kind of a demo a bit.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
It's very raw. It's, not underproduced, but it's produced to sound very gritty, which I'd really dig that. But this is a young band, and they're still kind of trying to find their way in this, I think.
Yeah.
But overall, I give this 3 stars. I think this is a pretty solid offering. It's just the song structure thing, needs to change. Like, more dynamic moments. Make those songs really stand out.
Yep.
And I really hope the vocalist gets better. I think he's suffering from something. Dude's ability to do that shit for an entire album is impressive, but it just doesn't sound like there's any actual lyrics to this, or there anything really being said. Which sucks because you have these awesome song titles. I want to know the story behind it.
Like I want to know what's going on. Like
what happened to the crumbling orb? I want to know. I mean, other than it crumbled.
It was harvesting a life force.
I mean, yeah. I feel like that is kind of lost there, and the vocal cadences are just kind of odd, and it kind of took me out a bit. But overall, the music is solid.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it 3 stars as well. Agree with a lot of what Nick said. I think that a variance in vocals. I think if he would have changed his tone a little bit, or just added in again some cadence, because it really wasn't. It was just. And, I mean, we've all puked, right? But a variance in vocal cadence could have really brought some additional life to the song.
Yeah. There were like an occasional, higher bleh, but it was still a bleh.
And definitely, if you're gonna present a tone of doom and darkness, maybe incorporate some of that in. Not just these quick little breakdowns. They're cool, and the riffs on them are great, but man.
Yeah, dude, I was waiting for a death doomy breakdown on there, and kind of got teased with it.
Yep. Because I remember there was a specific part of one of the songs where both you and I were like, ooh. And then it just sped back up. And then it just sped back up, and I was like, fuck, well, all right. It's not going to happen. But yeah, 3 stars. But again, good job, guys.
So, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because if you subscribe, you are entered in our giveaway for a Cryptopsy hoodie. Once we hit 1,000 subs, we're going to do a little randomizer thingy, and one of you lucky people are going to get a hoodie.
And by the way, we're 14 subscribers away.
So, it's going to happen soon.
Right now, so it's going to happen soon. So, if you are listening out there in Corona Land, that's what I call it.
It is Corona Land.
If you're listening out there and you want a chance to win this hoodie, you better get in there and click that subscribe button, because somebody's going to win it here probably this week, I'm guessing.
And it should be you.
It should be you.
With that, I want to say a heartfelt thank you to all of our subscribers. Thank you for keeping us going, because we love doing this, and we love that you guys are getting into this shit.
Yeah, we are really thankful that you guys are becoming a part of it, and we enjoy the comments and the chance to, say something to you all other than you having to just watch us do this bullshit. So
take it easy, guys.
Later.